Hi, and welcome back to Thone's Mount Nibbles, number 25. True Righteousness. And we're talking about Retribution, Part A. The eyes and the cheeks. We'll see about that in a minute. Matthew 5, verses 38 through 42 is what we're reading. Ye have heard that it hath been said, an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. But I say unto you, that ye resist not evil, but whosoever shall smite thee on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. And if any man will sue thee at the law, and take away thy coat, let him have thy cloak also. Give to him that asketh thee, and from him that could borrow, and of thee turn not thou away. Oh, I missed a line. And whosoever shall compel thee to go a mile, go with him twain. That's 2. All of that is, we're going to be speaking about the first 1/3 of that right today, and then tomorrow the next third, and then the final third on the next day. So this is part A, about eyes and cheeks. And it's talking about physical retribution. Why is this in the Bible? Understanding physical punishment in a loving way, and that's difficult to do. When we are being physically punished or abused, depending upon the rightness or wrongness of what we did, it's hard to do that, have that at us in a loving way. But here we go. And communications. How should we respond to physical attack? Here we're talking about slapping and so on. And eyes. Hurting eyes. Communication. Okay, that was what we need to respond by to an attack. Application to my life. Jesus here is explaining that the Old Testament judgment of eye for eye and tooth for tooth was not intended for personal retribution. It wasn't that if someone poked out your eye, it was your duty to poke out someone else's eye, the person who did its eye. Or if they broke out your tooth, whether it be accidentally or deliberately, doesn't matter. You are not to break out intentionally their tooth. In fact, this was a direction to the Jewish court system about keeping punishments equivalent to the crime that was committed. Also, turning the other cheek is related not to responding to a slap on the cheek, but rather offering the second cheek if the attacker felt as though more was deserved. Technically, this had social significance because the slap on the right cheek by a right-handed person was a much more serious backhanded slap, which was both filled with both potential for injury and also public insult. You know, bang. So it's like that on my face from a person that's reaching toward me. If you pretend this is your arm, that's the right cheek. And since most people were right-handed, all that makes sense. It's more likely to injure because it's basically your fist hitting, not the palm of your hand hitting. So it's more likely to injure you, and it was also considered to be an insult to you in the public eye. Offering the other cheek, that is the left cheek now, and also the same right-handed person was still painful, but will be open-handed slap, like that. The classic idea that we think about of slapping. In the court system of that day, the open-handed slap was only half as serious as the backhanded slap. I mean, that was the way they looked at it. They're talking about, how if you were told if the punishment is 3 slaps, are they open-handed slaps or are they backhanded slaps or some mixture of the two? And again, this again relates to keeping punishment relevant to the act of being punished. And therefore, if it's a very simple matter, one of the easiest punishments will be one slapping on the left side with your open hand. God says physical punishment is serious. It should be administered in proper proportion to the crime. My personal response: Lord, thank you for fairly demonstrating the reaction to the crime. That is, when we do something wrong, we expect to be punished. But the punishment that we're talking about here is not the punishment that you inflict on someone else. It's the punishment that the court system, that the government is going to inflict upon you. And again, these are examples of things that were actually done back in that day, and explaining that one kind of slap is a worse punishment than another kind of slap. And the whole eye for eye and tooth for tooth. It's not a society where, as we know, everything is evil in one way or another. So everybody will be going around with a eye jabbed out if we're not careful, if we believe an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. And they'd have trouble chewing also. So anyway, we'll we're finished with this one, and we'll talk to you next time.